Welcome to part 2 of episode 2. Drew Lasker has let me fly solo right now as he goes to get an ice bath or a stretch. He's got to be in fresh shape for his day job. We are delighted to still be joined by BBL legend Andrew Thomson as we dig deep into the pre-season rankings. It doesn't get any more exciting than this, ladies and gentlemen. We hope to see all fan interaction using the hashtag the BBL show. Let us know what you think, for better or for worse. Without further ado, let's get to it.
Yes,
so Andy is going to stay with us.
Yeah.
We are all going to put our reputations on the line and rank all the teams top to bottom. We will snake the picks. So actually, we're going to go bottom to top. As hosts and gentlemen, we will let Andy go first. So Andy will pick his 11th pick. Drew will pick his 11th pick. And then I will pick 11 and 10. And we will just continue like this. We will all give small reasons for why we've put these teams in those positions. Andrew.
Let me start off before we go into it to our listeners out there. It was this R&B singer in the 90s named Monica, and she had this song called Just One of Those Days. And it was a line in that song that said, "Don't take it personal. These are just educated guess, so take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen."
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to add a side note to that also as well, is not everybody's rosters are set, so things could change really, really quickly. Yeah. And also, I found this really, really hard. I was kind of stressed out today because there's not one coach in this league that I don't like. And I think that my arguments for my 11th and 10th pick are not even entirely related to them doing a bad job. So I hate this. But Andrew, go ahead. What's 11?
Okay, so I'm going Manchester. Sadly, the reason I'm picking Manchester is, yes, they're going to have 4 Americans in, but the Brits that they brought in are, I believe, a downgrade on what they had. And everyone else is going to have 4 Americans, and I don't think they're going to have 4 Americans that are that much better than anyone else's. So they're going to be languishing at the bottom. They are doing good things in Manchester. You know, they moved out of the fish tank that is George Carnell and moved into Bellevue. So that's a positive. I'll give them that. But yeah, other than that, I can't see anything happening. So, but it was a close 11th. I was 10 and 11 are kind of like, you know, flip flop maybe.
Okay. I like
trying to get himself out of jail. Well, my 11 picked, this was tough for me because this guy, we actually entered the league together in 2005. But when I look at this team, I think it's very obvious that they're looking to take a gap year as they try to get their infrastructure in place. And looking at their roster, they're very young. And if I'm not mistaken, they don't have any imports. And I hear that training has been a struggle for them. And so I'm going with the Glasgow Rock. Sorry, Gareth, you my guy. But right now, I don't think there's any, you know, with him being a player coach as well, I don't think that there will be any pressure on him this year as they try to get the infrastructure in place.
Tough call. Okay, 11th for me is I'm going to agree with Andrew, sadly, and go with Manchester Giants. The coach is a local boy. So I'm probably going to get some stick for that kind of choice. But again, I don't think it's because of anything they're doing wrong. I think they're making the right moves. Moving on from Callum must have been really, really difficult. You know, I thought he may have been able to help them, but I would probably argue that maybe there's something else behind that. Andrew's right in the fact that everybody's going to have 4 Americans, and I think for them to be successful this year, I think they need within that group there needs to be a Willie Clayton. So they're not going to know the answer to that. We're not going to know the answer to that, and obviously they need the Cassell kid to really show up and be what he's all about on paper. So the reason why I put them there is just because I think there's too many ifs, ands, and buts. But I like what they've done, and they've moved the venue, and there's some youth development behind that, which I always love. But yeah, difficult pick. 10th for me. I'm going to go with the Glasgow Rocks. I think that could change very, very quickly if there are Americans in this picture. But you're right. As of right now, it looks like they're having a little rebuild. I think that rebuild will support Gareth as a coach. It will give him time to be able to figure out what he's all about and what he wants to do. Fab is a one of a kind. So I think a player coach is just an incredible job. I mean, I don't envy anybody that's taking that on, but I think that, I think Glasgow are making the right decision to give him some time. I think he's built for coaching, having spent some time with him. And we could live to regret that pick, me and you, Drew, because if they had 4 Americans, then all of a sudden those pieces around them are complementary pieces. So back to Andrew. Andrew for 10.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Glasgow as well. I think the league's moving away from player coach, but obviously financial situations and stuff like that, it works for them and gives Gareth an opportunity. Obviously, he still wants to play and not hang it up yet. And they do have complementary players in at the moment, but still young. And a lot of those guys didn't really play that much last year, so this will be their first year of kind of really being embedded in the BBL. And then obviously, we don't know what the practice situation is for them at the moment. They're not even practicing or allowed to practice or whatever. So whatever happens there. So yeah, whenever they bring 4 Americans in or whatever they do, I'm sure they'll be all right. But yeah, 10th position is nailed on for Glasgow. So yeah.
Weird times indeed for them up there. So Drew, you've got 10 and 9 picked right now.
10, I think this team is going to take a few steps back. The coach has done a wonderful job. I think he's exceeded expectations since he's been there. But when I look at their roster, they return the only main guy that they return is Jalen Hayes, and then they return 2 role players in Lufa Deju and Gordon. And losing Cartwright is huge. I mean, that kid was the engine for that team. He's gone off to Pro B now, and I think he'll be hard to replace. Therefore, with bringing in a brand new team, not a lot of experience, I think they take a step back, and I got Cheshire as finishing 10th.
Okay, locked in. Number 9.
Number 9, the last time that this guy had an opportunity to coach talent, they finished 1 game out the playoffs. So I'm very happy to see Danny, who's a Plymouth boy as well, to get an opportunity to coach talent, as he does have 4 Americans, and he hasn't had that opportunity the last couple years. And so he has something to work with. So I think that they won't finish last, which they have maybe the last 3 out of 4 years. And like you said with Cassell, I think he's going to make a big difference in that with that team where they go, if they go high or if they finish bottom. But I got the Manchester Giants finishing 9th, and I'm glad that they moved venues because that last venue was a little bit too cold for a 37-year-old. I never got warm till about the 4th quarter. So shout out to the Manchester Giants.
Absolutely love it. Okay. 9th pick for me, I'm going to go with Cheshire. I feel the same way. I think they've lost some pieces. I think they've lost some complementary pieces. So Lewis is headed up to Newcastle. I think he was feeling really comfortable there at Cheshire. They kept Hayes, but again, it's kind of starting again. I really like their coach. He obviously started the Geddes era that brought them a trophy. So I think that he understands talent, and it wouldn't surprise me if a few of these players coming in are going to make some noise. Ross, looks good. Hamilton looks good. So, but I'm with you. I think they just take a small step backwards through depth.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at?
Yeah, it's me now, 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got Patricia Phoenix at 9. Ben normally, he does do good recruiting jobs. He does see talent, and his style of play and stuff like that kind of suits, and he's a tough team to play against, especially at their place. But I just don't see the depth in the squad at the moment, and I think that will kind of trouble them, and they're not going to win enough on the road. There's still quite a few at home, just because of their crowd and that environment. But until they bring in a couple more, they've not got any. Obviously the missing Sayers and then Ben Mockford as well. So they're big losses for them.
Yeah.
I forgot about Mockford, but he was a key for them.
So missing them, that's going to be a big loss for them. And I can see him 9. So
sounds good. And you've got the 8 pick.
8. So it's going to be a big drop. Obviously, I've got Worcester Wolves.
Okay.
They've not got much BBL experience carried over from last season. So I think they're going to have teething problems early on. And the team's going to be growing. So I don't think you can overhaul a team and keep having success. It's not conducive to a winning program. So, with the guys that brought in, a lot of guys untried in the BBL. But then Matt, he has got a bit more money, and he has proven at Leeds that he can coach, and he can do a good job. And obviously we won a cup last year, but this year, looking at the other teams and what they've done so far, I think they're going to finish 8th, which is still playoffs. So you can't grumble at that. But it's an 8th seed for them.
Interesting. Okay, Drew, locking in 8th.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tomo. I'm going with the Worcester Wolves at 8. I think there's a huge drop-off in talent with losing Amir Williams, who I think was the turning point to their season last year. Obviously, they lose Cortez. Thank you very much. He's now a Newcastle Eagle. And then you lose Kofi. And just in those 3 guys, that's a lot of talent that's missed. And I think even though they drop off in talent, with Matt Newby's great coaching, they'll be able to just sneak into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, so I've got the 8th and the 7th pick. So sneaking into the playoffs, I've got Surrey. I think that I love the signings. I really rate Hassan. I think he did really great when he came down to Plymouth as well. I think he's at a point in the career where he needs a go-to guy, and he feeds off as the second guy really, really well. So he's still got some juice left. I've really been interested why kind of Macklemore hasn't gone back into the BBL sooner. I liked him when he was first around. So they've gone for the veteran pieces. Very, very clearly, the pieces they've had have got BBL experience, and I've seen that really work. So I could see this jumping up a lot higher than the 8 pick, but I've also seen it kind of come at slightly the wrong time for each one of those careers and seen a slide back. So I've got them just kind of creeping in to the playoffs, and I think they got a great coach as well. 7, I'm going Bristol. So again, they've still got a couple of pieces to add, but for me, it's all about culture for me with Bristol. Obviously, they've taken Josh, who's a close friend of mine, and I think he'll be a good experienced piece for them going into the league. Still got to see a little bit more of the other pieces they plan to add, but it's the culture that I see them sitting in that 7 seed, even if perhaps those other foreign players are not quite as strong as we're used to seeing. So I'm locking in Bristol at 7.
Right. So is that me now at 7?
So it goes back to Andy now, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm 7, yeah?
7,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I've got Surrey Scorchers at 7. Exciting team on the offensive end, I'll give them that. But where the question is defensive end, I don't think they have that mindset, and that's going to cost them. They're going to be very tough to beat at home. It's always tough to play down there, but there's not a travelling team, and that will cost them league position. So they're going to drop to 7th, but a very dangerous team in a one-off game. So they could catch a team slipping and can make a little run. So, but yeah, offensive. They're great, but defensive, they've always been lacking. So 7.
7 and 6 for you, Drew.
All right. Well, I'm going to go right there with you, my man. I'm going to go with Surrey at 7. You looking at the roster, I think Creon has the most talent he's had in a long time. Creon's a great guy, great coach. He's the players' coach. And their captain, Mr. Surrey, Teo, he is the most improved player I have seen in this league in my 16 years. When he first came in the league, he couldn't run and chew gum at the same time. And he's really, really turned himself into one of the best players in the league. I just like to see now him lead a team deep into one of these cup competitions or deep into a championship table. I think it's time. And so I think, they have the talent to do it. And so I pick Surrey at 7.
What if that, Joel Freeland just gets a little bit too comfortable in those bubble practices and
he's not going to come back
and feels a little comeback? Does that change anything or no? I know he's not coming back. But
I see the video of him driving away. I see the video of him driving away in his Rolls Royce. I think he's okay.
He doesn't want that bus life.
Yeah. Okay. So we get to 6 and. We just faced this team in the preseason, so I'm going with Sheffield Sharks, and I think that Atiba deserves a lot more credit than what he gets. A lot of things that I see, a lot of Shark fans over the years have been ready for new fresh blood in that position, but in his tenure there, he's won probably the most trophies, Xing out Rob and Fab out of any other coach. So he's won there. But just looking at them on Friday, I think offensively they're going to struggle if Nick Lewis isn't on top form. As you saw last year, they got off to a hot start. That's because Nick Lewis was playing out of his mind. He came down to earth a little bit, and they kind of struggled. And I kind of can see that unless their Americans stepped up, which you talked about earlier in the show, if those guys can take off some of the offensive pressure off Nick Lewis, maybe they can finish a little bit higher, but I just don't see it. And so for that case, I have the Sheffield Sharks finishing at 6.
Okay. So me at 6 is also exactly the same. I've gone with Sheffield. The reason why I don't position them higher is they always, every year, have that bizarre dip. There's never a reason for it. So it's either a slow start and a great finish, or a fast start and a slow finish. There's always something in there that just kind of throws the balance off a little bit. I don't think I want to get into any kind of criticism of players because it's one game and they were knocking the rust off. So I'd like to see a little bit more. But I think that you're right, Drew, in the fact that those two will be the key as to what they do, because the other guys are going to give you what they give you. They're probably not going to drop below standards. They're probably not going to exceed any more of those standards, bar Lewis, who can be a frustrating figure for me sometimes. I see him really take on games, and then there's other times I see him kind of fade out. So for that reason, I'm locking them in at 6. Andy, you got 6 and 5 right now.
6 and 5. So 6, I've got Bristol. Obviously, the return of a group of guys who kind of know the club identity, and then obviously the complementing new guys coming in. So they're not going to miss a beat on that kind of thing. They're always going to play hard. They're always going to play to the final buzzer. Where I think they might come unstuck is not having that advantage of playing in their tiny gym with the crowd and stuff like that. Because that's a game changer for them. So you take that out of the equation now with the limited numbers and stuff like that. I don't see them kind of pushing 5 or top 4. So a 6, is still good. and they'll be a tough team to play in the playoffs. Against a 3 seed. So yeah, Bristol at 6, and then 5 we've got Sheffield. Solid, consistent every year. They just can never put enough wins together in a streak to kind of really warrant a top 4 finish. Like you said, they always have that dip, but they're always going to be there or thereabouts. And once the Americans find their feet, I think they'll be fine. They've got enough leadership and retaining enough guys who kind of know how it works down in Sheffield, and obviously Mike Tuck's going to be wanting to go out on a high this year, I'm sure. Not saying that he's going to retire, but that's just my feeling. But yeah, I can see Sheffield as a solid 5 spot. So yeah,
like it, Drew. Lock in that 5 spot for us.
For 5, I'm gonna go. Yeah, for 5, I think this team has a breakout season. They've always kind of finished on the edge of the playoffs, but I think bringing in Wilshere is a huge upgrade at the point guard position, and I think he fits better with Bristol's culture than Plymouth, because Bristol has kind of that D1 mentality, brought in a lot of players from Division 1. So I think he fits that perfectly. And with the new stadium on the horizon, they got the best graphics in the league. I think everything comes together for Andreas, and they make that breakthrough to where they're not the new kids on the block anymore. And they establish themselves as a predominant BBL team. And this is the year. So I'm going with Bristol at 5th.
Big call. So 5th, I'm kind of going against you guys a little bit and showing some belief in Coach Newby and going with Worcester. And I think the reason why I changed a little bit and put them up a little higher was I do like the look of their import players. I think they're coming in with, some big college pedigree. And I think that there's just something about Matt that I love about putting that, like you're saying, that new team together very, very quickly. He's a structured coach. He knows the game. And I also think that if there's maybe some little changes or upgrades that need to happen throughout the season, Worcester will not be afraid to do that. So I'm locking them in at 5.
Are you sure, Jay, that you didn't see that they had a roster spot open and you're trying to get in the good books?
Worcester's a little bit far for me, and we never dropped that kind of gracious game at Leeds that he always looked for on those long travels. The 25-hour travel and the 30 minutes till tip off.
The banana skin
almost got us a couple times, but not quite. So I don't think Matt's picking up the phone to me. But he's going to love me putting him at 5, and that's the only one I think that could come back to haunt me. I'm going to lock in the 4 spot. I'm going Newcastle at the 4 spot, and for that reason, I think it's just depth. And what worries me is the front line, just with what the potential of the other 3 teams could be throwing at you guys. So it's not liking what I see with Maxwell and Gordon. It's just and obviously Darius. I don't want to leave him out. He's a big piece, but he has to stay healthy this year. I think in order to them to compete with such a big rotation, all 3 of those other rosters are looking like they're gonna potentially either add size or they have that size already. I think we got Andrews locking in the 4 spot.
I also at 4 have Newcastle, but I believe they'll push for a final. I think they'll get to a final.
Agreed.
Mac's first time with his own players, recruiting his own players to fit his system. So obviously it's a new challenge for him. But obviously he's recruited a solid team. So yeah. He has 3 veterans. Obviously, Drew's one of them, and then he's got Fletch and D to kind of get the team up to speed on how he wants to play and what Max expects and what Newcastle expects of you. So that learning curve will be, the guys will do well with that, with the veteran leadership. And I'm picking up Edwards is big for Newcastle. I thought he was excellent last year. him and Parker Cartwright were probably two standout guards that came in the league last year and kind of opened my eyes a bit. So, so Newcastle 4th spot.
There we go. Okay, so we're nearing the summit of the mountain, and Drew's got to lock in his 4 and 3 spot.
All right. Well, this pick, number 4, this is kind of personal for me. And I believe that this team has its highest finish since 2007 when they finished tied 3rd with the Guildford Heat. And I'm going with the Plymouth Raiders. They got the wallet. They got the players. Although they haven't even signed all of their Americans, I'm assuming that the next 3 Americans that they sign are going to be top Americans. And I feel like this is the year. It has to be the year. It's been frustrating for me that the standards have been dropped with fans wanting them to just make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I think that, they've had the talent over the years to finish way above just setting a goal for making the playoffs. And so it's time. Everything is in place. They got the players, the London Plymouth Raiders. They got the finances. Come on, Plymouth Raiders. It's time. Mean Green, let's go. Finish.
Locking them in. Locking them in at 4th. Big pick. Okay, so 3.
And 3, you kind of mentioned this in episode 1, this team, the thing that stands out is the length. They have the talent. My only worry about this team is they lose a lot of veteran leadership. We're losing Tomo. And the big question for me is, even though they have the talent, they have the mix where they can compete for a championship title, is if Connor Washington and Jamel are ready to take that step up as the leaders of the team. If they are, they got a great opportunity to win the league, but that remains to be seen. And so with that, I'm going with the Leicester Riders at 3.
Okay, so I will lock in my number 3. I am going to put Plymouth there. I think I've seen enough to say to me, we know they've got deep wallets, but what attracts me to this pick is that the owners already own another high-level team. So they understand how to build an organization. They understand how to build teams. They will probably have their preferences on recruitment, which I think is a big help. That you're not having to dip into that agency ocean. They will use their guys. I think Lawrence is going to be one of the best point guards in the league because I think he's a two-way player. That's what I love about him. He can defend, and offensively, I think he can run a team as well as try and score. Hamilton, we obviously know, is an outstanding British talent, and the two of those together has taken another franchise to that next level. I think if we look at the coach also, he is used to those expectations, having had that time at Guildford, and also the time at Worcester with the Creekmore and Taylor and Awumi kind of era. So he's kind of used to those expectations levels being higher. So for me, I'm locking in Plymouth at 3. Andy, you got 3 and 2.
I've got 3 and 2. So 3, I've got my old team, Leicester Riders. The possible cup, they could steal a cup and get to a final. I can see that. Long athletic team, can play fast. And then they've got 2 big bodies that can bang inside. It's just, Leicester have struggled early in the season and dropped games, and I think that'll cost them later on. But when it comes to the end of the season, the Riders are normally hitting the stride. Everyone's on the same page. It's just a steep learning curve with the amount of plays that Bob likes to run and stuff like that, and little nuances to offense and stuff like that. It can be, guys picking that up can be a bit slow. So, so I've got Leicester at 3. At 2, I have Plymouth. I think they've recruited well, British guys, top-level British guys in Hamilton and Andrew Lawrence. And then they've got very good complementary players in Will Neighbour and LVC. And then they're still doing the development with Ubiario, and then obviously they're giving Elliot Sentence a chance at the BBL. He practiced with us a couple of times last year when we were at Riders, but obviously we couldn't offer him anything at the time. And then he did what he did in D1, so I'm happy for him to get a shot because he had a great final. And then obviously we just don't know what the Americans are going to be. You know, they've got a lot of money, they've got that Turkish connection, they've still got a European spot to fill. So you can expect a high caliber European player to come in. Three top Americans on big money. But then you got the conundrum of Plymouth, you know what I mean? Like it's
curse
weird
of
down
Plymouth.
there, guys. It's weird. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a great nightlife from that, but it's just, I don't know, it can, you know, on paper you can put together a good team, but I don't know, something in the water down there kind of just stirs it up, and I could drop them to fourth, really, but I think I've just got it that they'll do well this year. They've got enough. PJ's had success before. He's got a good assistant who you know does good scouting reports and knows the teams in and out, and you know give you the best opportunity possible to win. I think they've got enough to get over the line, but it's if they're going to play defense, high score. You know, PJ likes to score, but you know if you want to win championships, you're going to have to play some defense. So we'll see if they've got the guys to do that. But yeah, there's a lot to add to that. But yeah, there's I've got Plymouth at 2. So.
Lock them in. Drew, your 2 pick, please.
I'm 2. Man, this is tough. So this leaves me with the London Lions and the Newcastle Eagles, huh?
Ooh.
Well,
I don't want to be you right now. I don't want to be you. Me and Andy can just, hey, come at us, guys. It don't matter. Every change room.
Believe in yourself, man.
Yeah,
this
back
is
yourself.
tough, man. I mean, I look at London's roster, and they're talented. I mean, with their length that they have, if they commit to defense, they have an opportunity to set the all-time defensive record in the BBL. And kind of be kind of like those Riders teams in the past that were keeping teams in the 60s. So I look at that. I mean, they got NBA pedigree. You know, it's tough to compete with. But you're crazy if you think I'm going to go with the London Lions for the championship. You are out of your mind. Eagles.
So they're taking
Eagles.
to take the league, yeah?
So you're going all out. I just asked you to lock in 2, but you're taking 1 and 2 right now. Newcastle are on the top of the mountain.
I'm taking the London Lions, finishing runner-up to our Newcastle Eagles, the BBL trophy finalists.
Winners.
Yeah, winners. My bad, winners.
Let's just say, like Andy, he had to do that. So we understand.
We
why
understand.
You've done it.
It's all right.
If
off air, he actually said London are going to smack the floor.
Hey man, you're gonna give me some. I'm gonna get fan hate mail now, man. Hey, I promise you, Jamie Douglas, I did not say that.
Yeah, you do not want to get on the wrong side of him. Okay, I'll lock in 2 and 1. So I've gone Leicester at 2. What I've been really excited about with those guys is he's gone after a lot of size, a lot of length and athleticism. And I think if I know Rob well enough, I think that what he's telling us is he's going to try and drag those teams down into the 60s. So I think he's going to roll back the times a little bit and try and be different to how Plymouth and London will line up. What makes me hesitant to put them at 1 is, like you said, you lose so much experience. So, no Andy, and there's always been another couple of guys around there too. And you're right, Drew. Are those guys that have been there strong enough to pull that culture through? I back them because I'm obviously putting them at 2. But I think that's what leaves them just a little bit below London. I'm picking London for all the obvious reasons. The depth, the kind of athleticism is just off the charts, and if they can kind of put it together, and there's going to have to be some ego suppressant within that team, and that's just natural. That's not a dig at any individual. My only question mark is, can Vince stop a revolving door type situation? Because trying to keep some of those guys happy is going to be a really, really difficult task. And then from there, if they can solidify the ship, they've already won the last couple of years some trophies without having this kind of elite talent. So I had to put London atop.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, round us out.
Yeah, I've got London as well. I want to say sweet, but I don't think it will. I think with the European competition, I think complacency might creep in the cup competition and they get turned over. But they have a squad that is just crazy deep. I don't think all of them can kit up at the same time. So, guys are going to be rotating in and out of the squad and stuff like that. So they've got enough to cover every position with 2 or 3 players. So injuries aren't going to be an issue. It's just going to be complacency of coming back from a midweek game, and then you might play a Surrey team that you smacked 2 weeks beforehand, and you played bad and they turn you over, and then you're out of the competition. But I can see them getting 3 at least. But it always takes a little bit of luck to get the sweep. So I'll give them 3. But
3.
Yeah. 3.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I like it. So,
and they'll get out of the first group stage in the Euro Cup. I guarantee you that.
Ooh,
that's a big call.
Gone up.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
So, did you just like what you saw the other night and just think?
Yeah, they got it. They got enough. They put themselves in a good situation, and I don't think Liggins had the best of games, so he's going to have something to prove when he plays in Euro Cup now, and they've got enough. So they've got more than enough actually, but yeah.
I mean, I said earlier in the show, I said that there's a couple of pieces that went missing in that game, so that's kind of exciting in a way, because you've got some more pieces to get in there. And then I also just said, defensively, just from those sort of late signings, it just looked like a few people missed a few assignments. And in Europe, that's what it can come down to. It can come down to one possession. So I think that they'll have that time now until January to just tighten things up. But yeah, there we go. My favourite part of the year is to go through the preseason predictions. We will get this into a graphic, so we are held to this for the whole season.
Does that mean I have to come back on at the end of the season and with victory that I got all my predictions right?
I love your confidence. Also, I love Drew's confidence. So we shall see.
Pop the bottle of champagne here live on the BBL show while both of you guys in that screen drinking water. I'm gonna be drinking champagne.
There is always the possibility that we could all be wrong. And we may all be here later on in the year to apologise. But I think that we were pretty much on the same page with those picks. Andrew, thanks for sticking around.
Definitely.
Thanks for having me, guys.
What a career. I'm still in awe of seeing the numbers in the end. One of the things that stands out to me, I said earlier in the show, your intelligence, you're a winner. But also, you're a really humble guy. I think a BBL legend is just the fitting words to finish off with. I will let Drew give the final words with yourself, but I appreciate you giving us the time.
Thank you.
And for me, I'm just thankful I had the opportunity to play with you, be a teammate of yours, and then on top of that, become a friend. You were just at my house a month and a half ago, and that just says a lot about you, just popping by. Hey, I'm in the area, I'm gonna stop by. So, this one thing that we wanted to do with this show is we wanted to make sure that we gave guys their flowers and make sure we give them a right send-off. And, there hasn't been any other platform in the league where we could do so. So I'm proud that, we get to celebrate you first. And hopefully we'll get you back in on the show. You know, you don't have anything else to do now, so you can spend some time with us this year.
For sure.
I appreciate it.
Send your pics to Drew. We need that graphic. We are going to hold steadfast. And
I'll get that sent. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll speak to you soon. Okay, that's a wrap for episode 2. We are always keen to hear from you, the fans. Let us know what you think about our predictions. Give us your own. And reach out to us on all forms of the BBL socials using the hashtag the BBL show. Drew, this has been a lot of fun. I love the preseason predictions. Andy is a great guy as well as a basketball legend. Sign us out, buddy.
Yeah, man. I mean, the first 2 episodes, we get 2 great guests. We get Coach Vince, and then we followed up by Tomo. A great show. And to our fans and listeners out there, Jay and I saw all your warm wishes and messages. We greatly appreciate that. Again, just like I said in episode 1, come on this journey with us. We're going to continue to improve. And, again, we're doing this for you guys. There's a lot of stuff we have up our sleeve where we're going to be engaging you guys. So stay tuned. Until next time, the show.